Yo, doing it, hanging out, ready. It's Monday, you know. Oh, let's see ya.
Here. But we got a couple new, or a couple returning faces to the show and a new one. First up, we got CagyJan back in the house. Happy to have you, man. OG of Around the Metaverse and founder of the Juice team. How's it going, man?
Everything good, man. Everything good. Trying to, have fun and, find new things to do as this bear market is killing us all slowly but surely.
Killing us slowly, which hey, but
What's up, guys? I was gonna say Kagi, but you have us. I mean, come on. Can't where else are you gonna go to have friends like this, To support, hold your hand. Just kidding. Just kidding. But we will
virtually,
we will hold your hand if you
yeah,
need it.
virtually hold your hand.
I'm
Um,
doing well. Thank you for having me. It's good to see all of you and have this conversation. I'm looking forward to it.
Of course. And then last but certainly not least, we have a new face for the show. We've got Iceyyy Gaming, founder of Web3 Gamer, and a new content creator to the Web3 gaming space. How you doing tonight, man? Happy to have you on.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm fantastic. Excited to be on this panel with, all these amazing Web3 gaming content creators. So let's get into it.
Word. Well, get into it. We shall. We've got a pretty good a group of things to talk about here tonight. Not the most exciting news, but some interesting developments from some of our favorite projects that we want to share with y'all. We're going to be talking about, will AAA game studios become DAOs, and is that going to become the standard business model for gaming companies in the future? We're going to be talking a little bit about Ubisoft here, and if their if their 180 on NFTs was real or not, if they're still in love with NFTs, despite what their fans and audience might have to say about it. And then lastly, just a kind of a general piece about staying safe here in the metaverse, and what people can do to look out for
No one's
scams and
safe.
keep their wallets safe. Especially not these days. I mean, we'll talk about it, but Stache almost got the other
I
day.
did. That's true.
We
Here's
love
a
to
tip.
talk about protection, Adam.
Here's a tip. If it has safe in the name, it is not safe.
Ooh.
I mean, yeah, good advice there. That's one of those red flags that you could always look out for. But before we jump into our topics here, I want to thank y'all, our audience, for coming out and viewing today. Before we get into things, don't forget to smash that like button and hit subscribe if you haven't already. Show the YouTube algorithm that you're here to spread the love in Web3. But let's get into things here. We're going to be talking about, will AAA game studios become DAOs? And more specifically, a recent announcement coming from one of our favorite companies, projects, game studios, Mythical, popular for Blankos Block Party, and they also have a few other projects in development right now. One called NFL Rivals, which is officially licensed with the NFL, and another racing game they're going to be putting out here too. Games on Epic Game Stores, the whole shebang. One of the top tier studios in Web3 right now. They just announced that they're going to be basically founding a new decentralized autonomous organization called Mythos. And Mythos is essentially going to be in charge of 3 different subcommittees that are focused on pushing the frontier on Web3 gaming. They're going to be focused on game development and publishing, Web3 and metaverse infrastructure, and then esports and guilds as their 3 different sectors. And I want to get your guys' opinions on what this might mean, and why Mythical is doing this kind of as the leader of this. Stache, let me start with you. I mean, does it make sense for Mythical, they're already, I'd say, one of the most notorious Web3 gaming studios? Does it make sense for them to create a DAO focused on furthering Web3 gaming? and how will this benefit them when they've already kind of captured a lot of market share in this area?
I'm still a little skeptical about DAOs in gaming, and not because it can't work. It's just you have to be very cautious on how you implement it, right? I think that you give too much power to a DAO and say, "Oh, you guys can decide everything." It doesn't work out very well. But then you give too little power, and it's kind of pointless, right? So it's about finding that balance. And when it comes to mythical games and blankos, I think that they're a good person, a good company to look at really kind of pioneering or pushing this. We've seen some DAOs in some other games, and some of them work well and some of them don't. Some of them have, say they're DAOs or say they have a governance token, but really you can't do jack shit with it. And that's what I'm saying. It's like finding that balance. Why Mythical would do this, I think it just comes down to, being a leader in the space, right? Being the first game that is, technically Web3 or NFT enabled on Epic Games, which, I will say it's a feat in itself here in the beginning. Now it's going to kind of be a point where, well, we'll just start seeing tons of games that are NFT enabled coming to their store. But I think that, trying to be a leader in this space, that's what you kind of want to do, is establish yourself. And by establishing these organizations or being part of these organizations or pushing the forefront, it's another way to make another headline, right? To get your name out there a little bit more and to have a little bit something else to kind of push, right, as far as narrative for your game or your project in general. And so I think that's really probably the reason why they're doing it. I don't know that it's really going to be something that's going to make a significant impact on the game itself, but hopefully on the concept of DAOs being in games. And that's where I really see maybe there being a little bit of push here that they could be doing, or like some helpful work they could be doing.
Yeah, and in regards to helpful work too, those 3 different areas that they're supposed to be focused on, I'm curious to see how taking a more decentralized approach is going to work out for actually complete or achieving what they're setting out to do here, which is focus on game development and publishing with one part, focus on Web3 and Metaverse infrastructure on another part. So similar to kind of what we talk about with Improbable and what they're doing with Other Side Metaverse and kind of the layer that's being built on. And then lastly, management of things like esports and guilds, which, that I think does make sense for a DAO to be kind of in charge of handling. But Mona, let me ask you, I mean, do you think a DAO or Mythos DAO is going to be able to manage these things? And like, what do you think the benefits of going about something like game development and game publishing in a decentralized way would be benefit to them compared to just doing it all in-house or working just with centralized companies?
Let me kind of give you my opinion on DAOs in gaming. I always have said if the governance power in Web3 games rests with investors and not gamers, in my opinion, that's risky as fuck. We all know that what stands out, or at least what stands out for me, and the transparency of the founders, right? Like, when was the last time Sony sent their devs in the Discord to go engage with the community? Or when was the last time that Sony, their CEO went in Discord and talked about the direction of their project? Never. That never happens. So on one hand, we have to thank the structure of DAOs and Web3 for this very unique and valuable opportunity. However, like Stache said earlier, DAOs can be risky. For one, they're really not that decentralized if you think about it. When only a few people who hold the majority of the tokens make most of the decisions, and the overall autonomy of the DAO is also risky. Because the DAO is just a public face for the decisions that ultimately are made by who? By the project and the founders, right? So I think a single DAO council is risky in this case. Also, if you think about it, we've seen products where the first version was good, but then all the other versions were shit, right? Why did that happen? Because the decision makers at that point were the investors. And those investors are now thinking less and less about the value. And the moment a company stops delivering value, what happens? The users are gone, right? So, you have to consider this too. A Web3 game as a product is not going to stick when I can sell all my assets and peace out, right? So you better give me some long-term reasons to stay, and those reasons have to be, like you had asked earlier, they have to be based on your game development, your game design, your gameplay, and the people that stand behind it. So that's kind of where I stand when it comes to DAOs and gaming.
Well, no, and you bring up a couple good points there too, especially in the sense where you mentioned that, you know, it's kind of a risky thing to invite investors in to have control over the direction of your game, especially when they don't have like the same incentivization or best interest of like what the gamers and the users would want, when they're probably their true motives are to, you know, put in as much money as they can now, wait for it to get popular and for all the gamers to like input all of the value that they're providing, and then, you know, sell everything at the top and basically dump,
right.
like leave everyone holding the bag. And interestingly enough, you know, Mythos is offering a token for governance, you know, ERC20 token.
And that I think that's kind of one of the big problems we see too, is it, you know, why does governance and why does a DAO have to revolve around a token?
Right.
Exactly.
I think that's the biggest thing, and that's because once again, it's like, well, if you're going to do it, then there are ways to do it without it being token based. Like, oh, it's based upon how many tokens you have or how many tokens you're staking. So the whales have the biggest, you know, say, people who have amassed tons of tokens. You could do it more about time invested. Think about, you know, talking about like, okay, well, the people who have the biggest say in our DAO are the people who have invested in the highest number of hours in playing our game. You know, when you talk about, I played 80 hours. Okay, well, then I get X amount. And as you continue to do it, you know, that amount is changing based upon how many other people are playing. And it's based upon game time, you know, versus actual tokens.
Or like some way to put it, like get a DNF, like a dynamic NFT issued to people in the DAO that tracks their like commits in the like as part of, you know, what they're contributing to the DAO, that then gets referenced back to maybe a token that pays out to people as like a you know, an incentivization structure for people whose NFT records the most amount of, you know, valuable approved activity in the DAO. But then approving it is another issue. But Iceyyy, what was your thought on this? Were you saying something?
Yeah, I mean, generally, I agree with Stache that I applaud the effort. I applaud them leading the way, paving the way, and being a pioneer. But I share Mona's concerns over decentralized governance kind of being a meme. It's oftentimes not decentralized. And yeah, the biggest thing with the token for me is that none of the tokenomics were released. Like, we don't know anything about the token other than, yes, it's a fixed supply of 1 billion tokens. It's going to be used for governance. And there's something about it being a native, you know, utility token on maybe their chain, or at least in the marketplace transactions. But like, we don't know who those tokens are going to. The tokens were created back in May. There's 1 billion tokens. They're sitting right now amongst 5 wallets. Like, who are those wallets and how are those tokens going to get distributed? Hey, if there's an airdrop coming, then, you know, I'm excited for that.
Yeah,
but, you know,
Blankos bag holder is about to be happy with that, I'm sure, you know?
I do think that the concern is that this could just be seen as a potential cash grab. And I hope that doesn't turn into the case. But, you know, when you launch a token like that, you got to be concerned.
Yeah, and you bring up a great point there. One of the things too that like I noticed and wanted to mention, which you already did, was that like they didn't say anything at all about how it's getting distributed or anything like that. So we can only hope. I mean, let's hope. And I do think that it would probably be like in an amicable way. So like hopefully it'll be distributed to all of the like, you know, you have 5.
Like Mona said, all the VCs.
Yeah. Let's hope that's not the case. But Caggy, let me get your opinion on this, man. Let me ask you. I mean, just in general, as someone who is almost working with with the Juice team, with, I mean, somewhat of a decentralized organization. I mean, do you think that is it not decentralized? It's a little decentralized, right?
Yeah. Let me jump into that. Yeah, that's one of the reasons I didn't make a token for the Juice team. That's one of the reasons, because I just, you know, my values don't allow me to create something that it's just I know it doesn't have the benefits that everybody says it has. I think this myth thing, look, I'm just gonna say it. This is a cash grab, but this is not for us. This is not for us. This is not for the people that know about it here in the blockchain. Like, this is not for us. This is for the new investors that will come in inevitably in the next year and a half and 2 years, right? You can see FaceClan. You can see they're plugging in to different they're plugging into different Web2 organizations. Even this marketplace called DMarket. DMarket,
Yeah,
apparently,
that was weird.
it's a Web2 skin trading platform. And that's going to be the main token for that platform. And it has supposedly, they say here, over 2 million, it says right here, 2 million transactions a month and over 175,000 monthly accounts. This is not dumping on us. This is dumping on those people. And look, it is what it is. But I feel like they're all over the place with this. They have some type of like esports and guilds, and they have a council for like, I don't know. There's just so many things that they want to put into it. I feel like they saw Gala Games and the Gala tokens, how successful it was. And they're like, yo, let's create a token for the whole ecosystem or something like that. I think they're attempting something like this. And yeah, I don't know. I'm not really sure about this, to be honest. I'm just going to watch from the outside, you know.
I mean, we'll see what happens, man. You know, I hope, as you know, a Mythical fan and a Blankos fan, that it isn't some kind of terrible cash grab, and that they do actually like some value and utility comes out of this. I mean, I like I said, I do think that esports and guilds is something that a DAO could like actually be a use case that a DAO makes sense for. But on the other hand, like with the first part that they're looking for with game publishing and development, I mean, sometimes I feel like you might run into trouble with, you know, having misaligned incentives from investors to developers to end users, and then things just don't get done because, you know, there's not consensus among the groups of people who have a say in your DAO.
and we've kind of seen that, you know, there's been a couple initiatives where we've seen games, you know, leave things up to a DAO, and they're like, oh well, this we didn't necessarily want this to pass, but the rest of you guys did, and so, you know, leaving it up to people too often like that, you're going to end up with whatever the greedy option is.
I know, and it's pure. Sorry, my bad. Go ahead,
go ahead. I was just going to say, I mean, you've seen that, like I said earlier, you've seen that with centralized products. The first year, it's amazing, but then investors come in and it becomes about what the investors, the value that goes in their pocket and not the value that goes to the users, right? And I really agree with Stache. As long as there's a token involved, it's going to be really tough to do this right.
They're not gonna try to do anything right. That's just kind of that's just
give me the money. Show me the money,
bro. This is you can see, like, you got FaceClan, you got Gen G, you got Sandbox Gaming, you got YGG, and then you got, I think, Luminosity or something like this. This is absolute control over the token and just, you know, dumping this token on new users. I'm not gonna get dumped on. I'll tell you that much. When I see that go all the way up here, and I'll catch it. You know,
short.
We got experience, bro. You know.
Get on that short position. Oh, it looks like we lost Iceyyy. Oh no, there he is. He's back.
There he is.
Oh, you're back.
Apologize.
No worries.
So just pinging off of what Caggy said there, like, I mean, do you think, because that would be a real shame if that were the case for Blankos and Mythical Games, because they are one of the leaders and at the forefront of Web3 gaming. So, you know, it would be a real disappointment to see this be a big misstep. I'm pulling for them. I'm rooting for them. I hope it's not, although I am concerned it is, you know, a cash grab. I'm hoping that it's not, and that they can find a way to bring value. But
just don't invest in it. Just use it for whatever you need.
Yeah,
you know, that's what I would tell people. You want to buy something in Blankos, because that will be the main token for the marketplace. You want to buy something, buy the token for the equal amount of dollars. Buy what you got to buy, and that's it. That's all it is. That's all you got to do. You know
what I do right now with Blankos bucks. I mean,
you know, exactly.
Get my Blankos bucks, get that discount, then buy what I need, and then go on.
It's basically Blankos bucks, but like tradable.
Yeah. So do you guys think, like, being, you know, crypto people, do you think that there is a space for DAOs in Web3 gaming at all, or no? Like, because I do believe in the principles of a DAO structure. Specifically in DeFi, I think it can work fantastically there. In gaming, I don't know if I need the governance of my game like decentralized. Like, I don't know if I need that. But
you set the
what
rules.
if it's like, what if Iceyyy, what if it's like, let's just use a real case scenario. What if it's like a skincare company? Oops, Iceyyy gone.
Nope, he's still here. Caggy. We lost Caggy that time. Icey's still here.
Oh, I see. Sorry.
Okay.
What are you thinking? Like, let's use a centralized company, like a skincare company. Let's like Estee Lauder. How do you would you say that would work in that setting where the product, the quality of the product makes that entire company, and you put that in the hands of the women who use it when they don't know anything about what makes a good makeup product? I don't know if I'm way off base, but I just want to.
So the way that I think about it, and it's a great question, Mona, the way that I think about it, I think for me, what makes sense for decentralized governance, like it really works in a money protocol. We saw a lot of DAOs pop up in decentralized finance, DeFi, where it's open source code and the community is bringing a lot of value to that protocol. And that's where all the value is. And if the community is not happy, then they can just fork the protocol because it's open source code, copy paste it, and launch a new platform and run it that way. It's different when you have a company and a product in a game where you just can't copy paste that. Like, sure, you can take the idea, but you need money, you need developers, you need, there's infrastructure, you need a real company there. So like, no, I don't know. I mean, I think the biggest and best companies in the world, Apple, Google, Amazon, these things aren't decentralized. They're centralized. We need focused leadership, driving a vision. Again, at my core, I support DAO structures and decentralizing governance and people having a say and it being democratized. But in gaming, I just don't think it makes sense.
I mean, there's a coffee shop in Seattle that uses the DAO model, and it does amazing. So, I mean, I guess it depends what is your product. That has a lot to do with it, right?
Yeah, DAOs are not going to work for every organization, every business out there. It really does depend on. So you look like a co-op structure, which you could consider like a decentralized autonomous organization in a bit of a form, right? Which have been around for a long time and they work. But everyone has to have an interest in the end product, an interest beyond just like, I like using this shit. Gamers have that interest in that product where they invest a significant amount of time into that product versus people who use makeup, like they don't invest a ton of time in like the makeup world. You know what I'm saying? So I think the difference is the fact that people are investing their time into something like this, and it's a social oriented thing as well. I think that actually has a pretty big implication of that social factor there. And so I do think that DAOs can work in gaming. It's a way you approach it. It's the way you approach it and how much power you're giving a DAO. You're never going to give 100% of your power over to any demographic. So you're going to have this hybrid. You're going to have a hybrid structure. We'll see is what's really going to be what works the best. Where you have a centralized entity that's steering the ship, but then the crew is maybe the DAO essentially, right? So you have this kind of head that is making sure things are running as they should. But the crew gets some limited decision making on how the ship should kind of go or how it should be run a little bit, but they're not steering the damn thing.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, this, with all due respect to all of the people that are investing in this is an elite investor group that everybody here, including Ryan, which I have a lot of respect for, he said that he wanted to buy a football team in a couple of years. This is part of the plan. Okay? With all due respect. And I am not against it for people making money. I'm just not going to be the one that is going to buy that token.
What's the crypto Twitter joke? It's like DAOs are just group chats with a bank account.
Yeah.
Well, no. I mean, that kind of goes along to what I was just thinking. And Stache, what you were saying about like a head and then like the team is the DAO. Think about with that application to gaming. with like an MMO, where you talk about like an immersive metaverse. There's like the CEO of the company and things like that, but maybe like, you know, I mean, I'm sure some Web 2 MMOs do this to a certain degree today too, where like decisions about how the in-game economy is made are essentially governed by players in the game. And like you add gold to that and make it a crypto token. We're talking about it. I mean, it's already a DAO in itself anyway, but
yeah, but if gamers already don't, and sorry, I know if you're trying, sorry to cut you off, Adam, but like if gamers already don't like NFTs, like just wait till they learn about governance tokens. Like,
well,
you want to have a say in your game? Well, hey, you got to cough up 10 grand to like cast your vote. It's like,
no, but your governance token is like Iceyyy or some, you know, whatever currency it is, and you can only do that having a like a merchant node, you know, in the game, where like you run a store and then therefore you have a say over like what things are priced as and if like trade routes are going to be approved or things like that about the game. That's what I'm talking about.
Dude, it's just like your homeowners association. There's no difference between a DAO and a homeowners association.
Then why do you need a token, right?
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
Comes back to the token. Why do you need a token?
Yeah.
Exactly.
If games want to listen to their gamers and like implement their feedback, we have that, right? We have forums, we have polls, we have surveys. Like, you know, just because a proposal passed, I don't know.
It all goes back to what Kagi said. Kagi's right, guys.
Yeah, they're just doing it to dump on you. That's the reason this DAO.
Look, I don't want to put it like that, because I almost feel like it puts me in a bad position. But I just can't take FaZe Clan serious, like in the DAO. Like, come on, or YGG for that same manner, and that same token. Like, come on, like everybody. I remember how YGG sold their token. They sold their token to themselves, basically. Everybody knows this. To like 5 wallets, they put it in the market, public, and then like 5 wallets or 6 wallets bought it. A bunch of whales bought it. They just sold it to themselves right away. Boom, boom, boom. And look, I have nothing against it. They probably realized like, yo, we can't give that much control to the people. Like, you know, they realized that, and they kind of did something really, you know, and I still have respect for YGG because they led the guild movement. But, you know, like a FaZe Clan, like whatever this is, I think Luminosity, like, come on, man. And then you got people from 100 Thieves, like, and then Sanrio. And then
Kagi, is there an example? Who's
Masterclass? Like what?
Name somebody that's done it well.
Abigachi is the only one. From day one, they released a DAO. They proposed to be paid. They proposed to the DAO so that the DAO pays a service to the developers. The DAO is paying a service to the developers. So the developers have a separate company, right? And the DAO is paying the developers. And they propose to the DAO, hey, can we get 100K a month so we can develop Abigachi and blah, blah, blah. This is how much it's going to cost. Obviously, they have the most control, but they still put it up for a vote. They still put it there, right?
So I got a question for all you guys then. Then which came first? The DAO or the game? The chicken or the egg? Because what you're talking about is a chicken and egg thing right there. I don't know if you realize that shit.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a hard thing to pull off. I mean, let's just agree with that. And I want to talk about Ubisoft.
All right. Yes. It's speaking of
we can talk about this literally. We can have a show just on DAOs.
Just on DAOs, sure. Yes.
Yeah. Speaking of companies that might just be in it for you know, the money and nothing else. Let's move on to our next topic here, talking about one of our even in Web 2 and Web 3, one of the most controversial game studios out there. You know them, you love them, Ubisoft. They might still love NFTs despite their recent kind of 180 they took, where they, you know, the CEO came out and essentially was saying like that they came out with their Quartz program, which was NFTs in Ghost Recon, right? I believe it was Ghost Recon. And then, you know, it went over terribly. Web 2 gamers hated it. It was a whole thing.
Fools.
The CEO of Ubisoft comes out with a statement saying, "Don't worry, guys. We were just messing with y'all. Like we're just testing things. Like we're not really serious about any of this." To try and kind of take a step back from the what they were pushing. And now in another recent announcement, they've come out as being part of a $40 million investment made into Horizon, which is the blockchain and company behind Skyweaver, which is another trading card game similar to Gods Unchained, Splinterlands, and some of the others out there. But is actually very popular and has a really great community. And Horizon has been really pushing the edge on things in Web3 with what they've got going on as well. So it's curious to see how Ubisoft on one hand is like, we're not serious about NFTs, we're not going to be doing anything with that, and then on the other hand is investing millions of dollars in existing Web3 companies instead of investing in their own current ongoing NFT program called Quartz. But I want to get your guys' opinions on some of this stuff and ask you where Ubisoft might be going with this investment and what they hope to get out of it. Caggy, let me start with you. I mean, do you think, like, Ubisoft, one of the most popular AAA gaming studios of all time, I'd say, I mean, do you think it's inevitable that if someone like them is making investments like this, do you think it's inevitable that AAA game studios like Ubisoft adopt NFT and blockchain technology? And then what's holding them back other than negative like gamer sentiment?
Yeah, man, I'm gonna keep it short because we were like too long on the other one. Basically, yeah, like Ubisoft was the first mover in this space. People don't know this. They're literally the first movers from Web 2. They literally they have this research program or kind of incubator program where Axie Infinity was part of that. Guild of Guardians was part of that. For the longest time, Axie Infinity was part of the Ubisoft program, incubator program. Like, they known about Web3 since like 2019, 2018. Like, they've been here. They just, they attempted to make a move. Gamers don't understand this. They got backlash, and they're just gonna do it from like very carefully now. But for sure, they're gonna end up here. Like, but I don't think it makes sense for them to kill their business so early. Like, there's not enough demand here for them to be like, yo, we are a blockchain company now. Mm-hmm. It's better to just invest and not be at the forefront. Let other people take the risk. You're just in the back end, just putting money. If something hits, then you've got
your escape plan.
Exactly.
They don't have. It's the shit. When the shit hits the fan, it's not getting sprayed all over them, right? But no, Iceyyy, let me ask you, man. I mean, why do you think so? Caggy brings up a good point that, like, I think what they're doing probably is a strategic kind of flip from what they had already tried, in that, like, they started, with Quartz. They put that program out and tested the waters. It didn't go over very well. So now they're starting to look in other places, native Web3 places, to put their money. I mean, what benefit does this give them over just, continuing to trudge forward with the Quartz program that didn't, why aren't they just trying to make investors, or not investors, but gamers like Quartz?
Well, I mean, you got to remember, like, Ubisoft is a huge company, huge corporation. I mean, $40 million is not a lot of money to them. They've got billions, right? So it makes sense for them to place a bunch of small bets. And the original question, like, are AAA game studios gonna, adopt and embrace like NFT, technology? Like, absolutely. Yeah, of course. Like, don't, yeah, they're going to come out and say like, oh, we're just researching, or, oh, we're not thinking about it. Like, don't pay attention to what they say, watch what they do. Right. And they're making this investment. I don't know much about their NFT program Quartz, but, as you said, Horizon is established. They've got a track record. They've got a successful game with Skyweaver. That makes a ton of sense. I looked into it. They're the director of product for Horizon. He co-created like the ERC 1155 NFT standard. That's like the second most popular Ethereum standard for NFTs. So they're not just like investing in, Horizon and Skyweaver. They're investing in the team, right? And Horizon's building out their wallet, and they're building out their NFT marketplace. So they're investing in, Ubisoft is investing in infrastructure, and they're investing in smart people who are building. And maybe they didn't see that at Quartz, or maybe they do have it at Quartz and they want to hedge or also invest. So I think it makes perfect sense. And we're going to see a lot more of it, and we already are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Can I add to what Iceyyy said?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'll tell you what they want, and it's so right on what Iceyyy said. I'll tell you what they want and what they don't want, and I'll give you a big picture answer for this one. Let's take it back for a minute and consider this. Provable ownership in games is innovative and it's revolutionary. That's a fact, right? We also know that the build to earn or the play to own models is just way too attractive to say no to, or to turn your back at, or not to consider if you're a gaming company, right? And think about this: the ability to create. You're a founder of a gaming company, and you know that the ability to create, let's say, a custom home, a custom world, right, within a game and via NFTs that can translate into stats and data and be traded and be transferred and a whole marketplace, that is like a huge opportunity. It's like buying a land, building your house, furnishing it, or buying a land, building your business, and then selling it. That's exactly what you're doing. And that's what will change how people will play games in these environments. But back to what Caggy said, there's also a huge responsibility that comes with doing that. And gaming companies can't tackle it alone. So they're actually being smart because they know what they want. They see the opportunity. But we still have, I mean, from infrastructure to security, and most importantly, regulations, there's still a lot of frictions that need to be worked out before millions and millions of people start earning and trading in the game. So they're actually making the right move, if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I think Ubisoft, I mean, their track record, they have a proven track record of making successful decisions in the gaming industry. You know, as as we can see by the legacy of games they've put out and the fact that they're still here. Stache, let me ask you. I mean, Mona brought up a lot of good points there, especially about how, you know, this crazy Web3 NFT blockchain stuff is going to change the way people think about video games and how development companies go about video games. I mean, how do you think that stuff is going to change the way people, like the way gamers interact and go out playing video games?
I mean, you know, first off, just kind of comment on Ubisoft and what they're doing. Like, I think no big company wants to be the first one, is what it comes down to. You know, especially if they're going to be the focus of a bunch of backlash, like all the hate's on them, and then all these other companies sitting back like, those morons, they were the first one to try this. We're going to come and clean this up in a year or two, and we'll look like freaking champions. And I think it just comes down to education. I think that, you know, people need to be educated about these NFTs and understand the benefits, and then they'll be asking for it time and time again after that. Once they understand the benefits, once they really realize how much money that is being left on the table, I don't see why gamers wouldn't want to adopt this. But it does come down to education. I think just, you know, there's been some campaigns against them for dumbass reasons, and, you know, people don't ever want to spend time to really understand anything. They just want spoon fed. Like, here, just take it, spoon feed me. All right, I don't have to think about anything. Done.
Well, yeah, not only people being spoon fed, but, you know, you bring up a good point too, that the education aspect of it is probably what's lacking in a lot of areas, especially when you talk about bringing new people on, and new people who aren't even good with technology to begin with. Like, if you're not, if you don't know how to, like, navigate your smartphone, which there's a lot of people who I'm sure would check the box on I like to play video games, you know, in the older crowd, but still don't really know all the options on their smartphone. They're probably going to struggle with, you know, setting up a wallet, or, you know, anything revolving around paying for a token, transferring it into a game, buying an NFT with it, and then, like, you know, knowing what to do with that. You know, and not only that, when you don't have knowledge of these things, like a lot of these people do, it's a new area, you know, you get caught up in a scam, or, you know, you you buy something that you didn't mean to, and there's no refunds in NFTs. You know, there's no giving your money back or calling customer service in a lot of cases to help you out with your purchase.
Well, there could be. There could be. So just because it's because of the way that you have these kind of closed loop systems, until your NFT is out of their system, then you easily could have all those things. And we already see that with games right now. Like that's what Blankos is doing, right? Like, so you have these game items that are NFTs, but they're not technically really an NFT. I mean, they are, but not necessarily until you move them off their in-house platform and in-house wallet to a blockchain-enabled wallet, right? So I think that you could easily have all those things like, oh man, I purchased this thing in the store by mistake. All right, sure. If you really need a refund and there's a good valid reason, I could see that happening.
Yeah. I just want to go back to the first point that we had for the token. I just been thinking, and I'm like, look, if there's a company that did not take advantage of NFTs and the hype, it's called Mythical. That is the best game since 2020 in Web3, and the only one that didn't take advantage of it. This is their chance with a token. I'm just saying.
They're like looking at their year-end numbers compared to like the Sandbox and like
or Iceyyy.
And they're like,
are you kidding me, man?
Oh man, what we fucked up.
I have a conspiracy theory on that, because you know how like XQC and like Ludwig were supposed to like stream Blankos the other day. Yeah. Like I wonder if that got rescheduled because they found out they were like launching a token and a DAO. Like, I don't know. That those two things like happened either the same day or like the day after.
Maybe, but at the same time, it was TwitchCon, right? Like the next, like that same day or the next day. And I know XQC, been watching XQC for a long time, he does that a lot. Like it is a known thing where he's about to do something and he backs out like last minute, So it's possible for sure. It's possible.
Unreliable gamers.
I just wanted to add something back to your question with the NFT gaming. You brought something up, and I was going to say this is such a huge undertaking for gaming companies, because it's also on them to create and to build tools to make onboarding easy. And educate users, because essentially for this to really work, we need an invisible blockchain, right? We need a blockchain that it's not there, but it's there. And who do you think is going to build that? It has to be these companies that have to collaborate. There needs to be a lot of collaboration happening here. So if you see companies join forces and they just want to get their feet wet, it's really the direction that it has to be, because you can't, this is a lot to take on. And we haven't even touched regulations. Just wait until this becomes a security issue, and the land that you're buying and selling, now you have to a KYC on that. I mean, this is we haven't even started this yet. So you're going to see a lot of collaborations.
Let's just hope the SEC gets disbanded before we let's just hope Gary Gensler disappears off from existence.
I think I'm gonna go to meme tokens, bro. Like, honestly, if the gaming industry gets too SEC, too much things, too much hurdles, like, I'm just gonna go to meme tokens. Doge going to the moon, boom.
Well, and it'll just kill it for America. People will just go to people will just leave America because I mean, I'm sure there will be other organizations.
I will leave America if Mr. Burns is the one that's gonna set the rules. I'm out.
Mr. Burns,
but that's actually something funny. That's something that makes me bullish on Web3 gaming. I think that it can be the Trojan horse for crypto, because it's up until now it's fairly innocent and it's got that mass appeal, and I think that that's how a lot of people are going to find out about crypto and be onboarded. And the game studios, they're the ones with all the money. They're the ones that and all the connections. They're the ones that can push forward or influence litigation and so I think that could be a good thing.
I don't like it. I don't like it, man.
There's gonna have to,
Because
if you're gonna-
they just keep the money up there, you know, between them, between the FaZe Clan, between the YEG and the Polygon Studios, and then the money just flows there because they're like accredited. Like, come on, man. Like,
Yeah.
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
the people that push this stuff forward have to make profit. They have to make money on it, right? Like, you know, that's the birth of an industry, right? Like, you know, the oil barons and like the steel barons back in the day, the Rockefellers and stuff like that. Like, yeah, they made, you know, millions, billions of dollars, but like they also, you know, built the infrastructure for the entire country.
No, bullshit. No, bullshit. This is a different situation right here. So when you talk about the benefits that you get being an accredited investor versus not, and the reason why they give people accredited investment status versus why they don't, that's really where the disparity is. You cannot compare this to like industry leaders who have pushed an industry forward by, you know, laying the tracks and like, oh, well, we're not saying that those people shouldn't profit. What we're saying is that everyone should have an equal opportunity to profits of that same nature. I shouldn't be protected from investing in the metaverse or protected from investing in a great startup company just because I don't have a fucking stupid ass title that, you know, deems me being someone who is worthy of investing in something like that. So
no, I completely agree with that. That's not what I was saying.
A title that you get for having millions of dollars already. You know?
Yeah.
I agree with your point, though, Iceyyy. I get it. No, I get it. But, you know, I know that inevitably, and I'm already seeing it, where like all the money now is just flowing between the same people. They're going to create the regulation. They're going to push for regulation, and they're the only ones that are going to benefit. It's basically what's probably going to end up happening.
I mean, I have that same concern, right? But I just think that like all boats rise with the tide. So like, you know, if crypto gaming gets, you know, the approvals, if they're able to push forward, you know, the adoption of NFT technology, and the gamers get to benefit, and then I just think the whole crypto space will benefit as a whole. So.
I mean, regulation is inevitable, even if it's in gaming. If I mean, in the States, if you're earning, if through a trade you made over $10,000, they're going to want to know who you are. You have to report that. So whether that's land or an NFT that you sold, or I mean, you can't go around that, right?
That's also bullshit too.
No, but it's not the same. It's not the same. When you spark up a meme token, you can do it like in a split second. When you do an NFT that is tied to a game, it's a whole like industry behind that. It's a whole infrastructure behind that, and it's just it's not the same. I get what you're saying, but it's just not the same. It's not gonna be the same. So that's why I'm gonna stay with indie games most likely. I'm not gonna get.
So what about a digital land in the game versus a physical land outside of the game? They should be treated differently.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. I'm not really sure how to answer that, to be honest. I'm not even that smart to answer.
Yeah. No wrong answer. I just want to know how you guys see that.
I just feel like no regulation is better than anything.
They're completely different.
Trust me, I'm with you.
Just because you call it land doesn't mean that automatically then it should be considered, you know, in the same category class as real estate and therefore governed under the same laws and rules. It's I mean, like then like, okay, well, I gotta pay fucking yearly taxes, like say on my metaverse land to like own it and be there. Like, no, man, like there's so much shit that just wouldn't even apply there.
You didn't.
The IRS is gonna come knocking on your door because you're 12-year-old.
I'm sorry, we're revoking your digital land, guys, because you didn't pay your 10,000 Doge to keep this land, and we're kicking you out. I'm like,
you have
where
to
am I
pay
going?
the actual real life energy bill that it costs to host the data that your land is on the server.
Yeah.
It's not even gonna be you though. Like it's gonna be our kids and stuff. Like our kids are gonna like be racking up.
Here you go.
Bills.
You're laughing now. Just wait. Our kids will let us know how that played out.
Let's just hope that the SEC and whatever other stupid U.S. federal institution that shouldn't even exist in the first place, let's just hope that when they do go to talk about and regulate these things, they're just so dumb and so stupid and so frustrated that they're just like, screw it. We can't even wrap our heads around this. Just let it, you know what I mean? Just let it free for all. Who cares? Like rewrite all.
I think we're going to see a big change.
Rewrite all the securities laws because we can't even wrap our heads around this shit.
I don't think
you're kidding, but bro, the reality is
that's what I hope happens.
That this is unstoppable. This is literally unstoppable. You ban something here, it's gonna respark. You know, Tornado Cash. Yeah, sure, they got the guy. Bro, I promise you, in a couple months, there's another one. It's literally the genie's out of the bottle, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. Long term, like you can do short term.
Shut the internet down.
Yeah, like
no more internet.
Like
It's the only
Kardashian
way.
or whoever
only
they
way,
just find. They find Kardashian or whatever to scare the
Oh
public.
my God! Don't
Yeah.
even get started on
Like
that.
whatever, man. Like sure, that's a short term kind of like a band-aid, but I don't think long term they can do anything, bro, because people will start leaving United States too. Like, I know so many people that made a bunch of money and they're giving up their citizenship because what's the point? You know, if you have a shit ton of money, why would you have the American citizenship? Just give it up. Don't pay the taxes.
Don't pay taxes.
And go somewhere else. Like, you know?
Give me meme coins or give me death.
Yeah.
Not a financial advice by Caggy, guys.
On that note, too,
Leave
on
US.
our advice to expatriates, so you don't have to pay taxes anymore. Let's wrap this one up, guys. I mean, everything, good opinions all around. I mean, I think we all need to get our compound out in the Caribbean set up, and then we'll all live out there and just trade meme coins and NFTs and be virtual real estate agents.
Gang.
Crashing at Caggy's house.
Yeah, but
Come through.
hey, come through to Caggy's, everyone. But that's all we have for Around Metaverse tonight, folks. Thank y'all, Mona, Iceyyy, Caggy, for coming on tonight. It was great to have y'all. Thank y'all out there in the audience for watching. Don't forget to hit that like and smash subscribe if you haven't already. And then don't forget to also spread the love to these guys' channels in the description below. And on that note, this has been Around the Metaverse. See you guys next Monday. That's all we got. Have a great week. We out.